Yo, what's going on, everybody? G Funky Boxing. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification bell. I'm being joined by a special guest tonight, Checkmate Boxing. What's going on, Checkmate?
What's going on, brother? We finally get to talk tank, right?
Yeah, I've actually done a show last night about it. Um, yeah, man, it's a big fight, man. There's a lot of people talking about it, a lot of people excited. Um, for different reasons. But we're gonna get your reason and you guys out there as well. I got a poll going on right now in the chat. The question that I'm presenting to you guys tonight in the chat is: will this be the biggest fight of the year? So, Checkmate, now that I got you here, I'll ask you the question right away, man. Do you believe that Gervonta Tank Davis versus Ryan Garcia will be the biggest fight in boxing this year?
Okay. I have two answers for that. The first one is me personally. There's two. Is if you talk about numbers wise, you talking about just biggest fights as far as top talent versus top talent.
I'll
Um,
say I'll say monetary, like pay-per-view, stuff like that.
okay, pay-per-view wise, that's what boxing has built it into. Um, it wasn't I never saw it that way because I view Ryan on a different scale as far as talent wise and so forth and what he really brings to the table. But because the business of boxing built it that way, I've had listen, this is crazy. My grandmother's sister, who's a pastor, asked me, was I going to watch the Tank Davis fight? Okay. So this is like blowing my mind. Apparently this has reached people who aren't hardcore boxing fans like yourself and myself, yourself and I. So in that aspect, I guess it's going to be huge based on the fringe element, based on the casual fans gravitating to an event.
Yeah, I have to agree with a lot what you said there, Checkmate. There is a ton of casual interest in this fight. And that's usually a pretty good indication to me personally, of how well a fight will do. It's been that way for me in the past, where a lot of people who don't usually watch boxing the way that I do are asking me about a fight. Usually turns into a big fight as far as like the money goes and the pay-per-view buys. So I would agree with you on that, man. Definitely. Okay, let's read some comments here. Fotex says, so a big fight supposed to be announced on Saturday. Heard they closed the deal. Undisputed coming at 147. We will find out this Saturday if that's the case. I'm hearing the same thing. Stefan, what's going on, man? Do you think that fight is going to be announced? Checkmate. Have you heard anything about that?
Yeah, I've been hearing the rumblings. It broke my heart to be honest with you because I felt that was the biggest fight in boxing next to AJ and Wilder for the last like 3 years or so. You know what I mean? So I
Mm-hmm.
really wanted this fight last year. To me, this was the biggest because it was, the hypothetical. I don't do pound for pound lists, by the way. That's why I'm able to destroy other people's pound for pound lists because I don't personally do them because they're hypothetical and they're biased by nature. Your favorites. So my thing is, but if you're going to do the number one versus the number two, in the division where people have them on their pound for pound list, to me, this would establish the number one fighter in the world. And I was just really looking forward. So it broke my heart when Crawford did what he did, and you know what I mean, and left us all hanging. So I've heard the rumblings. I hope it comes through. I haven't made any more posts about it since it broke my heart last year. So I won't make any posts until it's announced.
Yeah, I think we've all kind of learned our lesson with, hearing some of the rumors that have been floating around for the past year or so about this fight potentially being made. Guys, don't forget, vote in the poll that I got going on right now in the chat. Let's check it. Currently, we got 9 votes. Oh, there it goes. Let's see. Okay. 9 votes in. We got 56% say yes, it will be the biggest fight this year. 44% say no. Actually, we're up to 10 votes now, and it just went up to 60 for yes, 40 for no. So Yeah, it's looking that way, man. Let's do some comments. Super Funk Master G says, "Hey, what's up, G Funky? My prediction is Tank is going to win, but I won't be surprised if Ryan can pull it off." Um, it's a tricky fight, man. We're gonna talk about it here in a minute. New Zealand Tab has Crawford uh versus Spence listed June 17th. Wow. Yeah, that's encouraging news there. Votek says we could get AJ Wilder in December. That's a fight I wanted for a long, long time. Hey, what's up to Warwick Radio? Thanks for being here. He says it's a done deal, brother. I like to hear that. I definitely like to hear that. Didn't it take like 13 didn't like 13 million Chinese people watch the Zhang Joy? Yeah, that's what I heard. I heard that. I mean, that's great, man. More eyes on boxing. I'm all for it, man. And see, people can sleep on Ryan. He got timing and speed, and that dangerous combo. But I got Tank by stoppage or Ryan by UD. My man Cosmic Ozzy says, finally made a stream. Yeah, it's about time, man. I'm picking Tank only if this fight was at 140 with no stipulations. Shaking my head. Oh, I'm sure we're going to talk a little bit about that here. It says, Round one says, I'm rooting for Ryan, but it's going to be not going to be easy. Let's see. Sonia Dumas here says, and my 96-year-old father asked me if I'm watching Canelo Ryder May 6th. Well, I mean, that's good too. Not too many people have asked me about that personally. Let's see. Ryan. Oh, we lost Checkmate. Hopefully he comes back. I think Ryan can land a straight right and left hook on Tank. Yeah, well, we've seen Mario Barrios land that combination a lot against Tank Davis. Let's see if Ryan Garcia takes Tank's power, he will win by UD. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. What's going on, Javier? Thanks for joining me, man. Not quite sure what happened there with Checkmate. We'll give him a few minutes. Maybe there's a problem with the internet. Okay, he's back. Let's get him on. Greetings.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. If my everything just flipped out, my browser, everything. So
That happens, brother. But so here's what we'll do, man. I'll let you give your piece right now uninterrupted on this fight. Who you think is going to win and why? Go right ahead, man.
all right. Well, this is the funny thing is, this be honest with you, I haven't heard anyone ask me legitimately about who's going to win and why. There's, people's been marred on the catch weight gate and all of that crap. But for me, to me, it's a no brainer that Tank is going to win. Tank is going to win because when you look at the fighter's attributes, people say Ryan is fast. I think Tank is faster. He's definitely slicker. He definitely has it can be the foot. Again, his foot movement. Um, he has that killer instinct. They say Ryan has the left hook, whatever the case may be. But Tank has put people down with overhand rights. He's put people down with left hooks, left uppercuts. So there's a myriad of ways of Tank can get him out of there. And I just don't think Ryan has the experience or the quality of fight level to be able to deal with someone like Tank.
So, is there any way possible that you think that Ryan could possibly pull this thing off?
Sure, of course. Ryan has the same uh, chances that Raleigh has the same chances that Barrio has the same chances that Hector Garcia has. A puncher's chance. You know, there's you know, there's nothing that Brian. There's nothing that Ryan brings to the table that really frightens me when it comes to Tank. Now the thing about it, I get big fight anxiety with Tank all the time. So I've had this anxiety, this big fight anxiety for like the last week or so, even started last week, that I'm like really anxious to get this over with. First of all, I got a lot of money riding on it. I have 5 people on Twitter who's betting me on that. So I'm going to, make minimum $500 just from Twitter alone. And of course, I'm doing my own betting, on websites where I'm betting large. So I'm very comfortable with it. But like I said, the only way is a puncher's chance. That's just not going to do it. You look at Mario's Barrios was 5'11", right? He's bigger than Ryan in every possible way. He's put like just about every fighter he's ever faced down on the canvas. They say, oh, he lost to the Russian, whatever the case may be. Well, actually, he put that Russian down twice. So Mario Barrios is a better has better fundamentals when it comes to boxing. Um, the only thing Mario Barrios lacks is that killer instinct, but power is one thing he does have. Fundamentals, one thing he does have. So when I compare the two, I think Barrios actually would beat Ryan. So there's
Mm,
nothing, absolutely. So there's
mm,
nothing to give me cause for pause. Understand, Barrios was 26-0 with 19 KOs when he fought Tank, right? That
mhm.
means again he's been knocking out 140-pound men. So Ryan has not faced that caliber of fighter. Luke, I'll call him Fluke Luke, Luke Campbell Soup, whatever the case may be, however you want to call him. I never rated this guy. He's never won anything. People say, "Oh, but he's an Olympian." The only time people ever bring up Olympians on someone's resume that they fought is when they have nothing else. It's fluff. I never talk about Olympians unless I have to counter someone else's argument about Olympians. But what someone did in the amateurs or the Olympics has nothing to do with the pros. So with that, standing, Luke Campbell has accomplished nothing in boxing, and so I didn't, didn't really give that much credit. And for Fortuna, come on, Fortuna could make weight. The fight was originally scheduled for 135. Fortuna said, "Hey, there's no way I'm going to be able to make this weight in 6 weeks, whatever the case may be." So they scheduled to 140. Even Ryan was saying, "Oh, he's fat and out of shape, this and that. Look at him." So we knew Fortuna wasn't going to bring anything to the table, and he's not really a skillful guy. He's a dog. Give him. He's got heart. He's got grit. He's the dog. But there's no one can say Fortuna is a very skillful fighter. Okay, so when you say if you said count those as Ryan's two biggest wins, they're not even on the radar screen as the caliber of the fighters that Tank has fought. Now, I've said that for a reason. I saw your tweet earlier. You retweeted quote tweet today that said regarding Tank's resume. I'm thinking, so if you think Tank has a weak resume, what is Ryan's resume?
No, look, I agree. I think both of these guys' resume is very thin, both. But I'll ask you this. Now, to me, it sounded like there was a lot of discrediting what Ryan has done or how good he actually is. And there's a lot of people that are disagreeing with you in the chat, as well as I do. I would ask you this though: is discrediting Ryan for the guys that he's fought and has done in the sport, does that help Hank's case in this fight at all, as like this being a big win for him? Like, would you consider this his biggest win if he was to win on Saturday?
Not at all. If he went after he wins on Saturday, after he gives Ryan a bit of that Tanquil and put him to sleep, um, I would say this is probably will be Tank's sixth biggest win if we're counting as far as the caliber of fighter.
Mm.
It's going to be his biggest win on the biggest stage. But when you talk about quality of fighter, is this win better than Barrios? No. Tank went up from 130 to 140 to knock out a 5'11", 26-0, 140 champ. That's bigger than Ryan's. That's to me going up two weight classes. You know what I mean? And achieving that and
Well,
dominating that guy. I there's no way I can put a Ryan win on that level.
well, I just want to correct you on something you said, because you said Barrios was a champion. He was the WBA regular, not the super. There was an undisputed champion at that time in Josh Taylor. Um, but look, if you rate, I mean, if that's the way you rate it, that's fine. That's your opinion. I disagree. I feel like everyone that Tank has fought, I think Ryan would beat at this point. I'm pretty confident Ryan would beat those guys. Um, I know you disagree with that, but I think
100%.
I think that Ryan brings some things to the table that Tank has yet to see. Like, I don't think he's fought anybody with this kind of speed or power or the reflexes of a Ryan Garcia. Um, who would you say, now, if you disagree with that, who would you say has those kind of qualities better than Ryan that Tank has fought so far?
Well, let's mention Barrios. I think even Hector Garcia is a better fighter than Ryan. He's more grittier. He's more tougher. I think he brings the element that Ryan doesn't. Ryan is not of what you would call an aggressive fighter. He's sort of like a counter. Now, let me say this. Listen, Ryan, he has potential, but his potential was unrealized. Okay, so my rating on Ryan right now is not necessarily where he's going to be, but right now people are giving him credit for things that he hasn't achieved, and especially when you look at his performances in the ring. So again, I have
So
Barrios.
when you say people have given him credit for things he hasn't achieved, what is that?
They say, "Oh, he's fast, he's this, he's that." If he's got power, well, okay, he had 19 KOs. Okay, Barrios had 19 KOs. Okay, but you guys say, "Oh, he will beat Barrios." I doubt that very much because he again, Ryan is heavily flawed. I don't dislike Ryan. I'm just giving an honest assessment. I think he's
Hmm.
again, he's what you would call to me, he's in the same lane as Jake Paul. He's sort of like a
Oh,
uh, uh,
gee.
when I say Jake Paul, he's an influencer, right? He's getting credit
Mm,
for Instagram views. That's all they talk about is Instagram views. They never or Instagram followers, his social media following. They never talk about again the quality. Ryan has never even been in a championship fight. Okay, so when you're
I
23 and
agree
you're
with you on that. I agree with you on
so
that. He hasn't.
23 and 0, 19 KOs, you've been the pro this long and not one championship fight, but they are rating this guy high off of fighting off his two biggest wins, which you would say, I'll let you say it. I, what do you think his two biggest wins are?
Ryan's two biggest wins?
Yes. Yes.
I would say Luke Campbell and Javier Fortuna. That's what I would say.
That's my point. That's the only names people bring up. But let me ask you, when the last time you ever said, "Hey, when have you ever in your life said, oh, Luke Campbell's coming on. I want to see that Luke Campbell fight." Whenever you said, "Oh, Fortuna's coming on. Oh, I can't wait to see that Fortuna fight."
I wanted to see Fortuna fight Devin Haney when that fight was discussed.
Uh,
I was excited about the Jojo Diaz fight. Luke Campbell, I wanted to see him against Lomachenko because he's a tall, rangy southpaw. Um, and that was a good matchup. I felt like that was a really good fight. Are those guys like cream of the crop? I mean, no, absolutely not. But I mean, I just disagree with that. I feel like you're overrating Barrios completely. Um, I think Ryan destroys him, man, just based off the styles, man. Um, but let's see. I would say for me, Tank's two best wins on his resume, in my opinion, are Leo Santa Cruz. Now I know that Santa Cruz, smaller guy, came up from bantamweight, but he was accomplished, a well accomplished fighter, multi division champion, and I feel like his win over Jose Pedraza was very good as well. The rest of them, like, Raleigh wasn't too high on him. The Isaac Cruz fight was a very close fight. Could have went either way. Um, so I mean, look, Tank. I feel like there were some fights that he should have taken by now that he didn't. Um, but to me, there's not much of a big. It's not that big of a gap between the two guys and their strength of schedule this far, in my opinion.
oh my God. I can't believe you said that, G Funky. Listen, I can't believe you said that. And people always bring up Pedraza. I say Pedraza was Tank's fourth or fifth best win. Um, I think Pedraza got some skill, but he's never proven himself to be the best. Okay, and when Tank took
that
him
that
out,
fight was for a championship, though, right? That was for a
right,
championship belt, right? Yeah.
right, but listen, Macaboo had a championship belt. The Canelo won it, right? So, when we talk about belts, it's the belts are one thing, and that's why okay, it's you won it, but it's really it's the fighter makes the belt. It's not the belt to make the fighter. You know what I mean? So again, when I look at Pedraza, Tank destroyed him. He decimated him in his 17th fight. And people say, "Oh, that's his best win," but by saying that's his best win, you're people trying to discredit all the other fighters he fought, like saying that was his best the fighter he's ever fought. That is not even the case. Like you said, Leo Santa Cruz, I love Leo Santa Cruz, Mr. Punches and Bunches. Okay. Leo
Mm-hmm.
Santa Cruz still hold records right now for most punches thrown, most punches thrown, most punches landed, and so forth. He's in number one, and he's number two
Yeah,
for
Leo.
for
Leo's
for
Leo
84
could.
punches landed per round. So when he fought that, I was so anxious to see that. You know why? Because I wanted to see Tank versus a pressure fighter, because I believe Leo Santa Cruz was the best volume puncher in boxing. Okay,
He
I've
was.
made
Yeah, he's
videos
a
on Leo.
good. Yeah, he's a really, really good fighter, man. But we got a
Okay,
phone call here. We're gonna take it. My man Ezra Boxing is on the line. What's on your mind, Ezra?
Hey, I just listening to you guys break down this fight. I'm really excited for this fight. I think, I don't know, I keep hearing different point of views on this fight. I don't agree with a lot of them. I think Ryan Garcia is a very good challenge for Tank. I think if Tank beats Ryan Garcia, I'll give him a lot of credit for beating that guy, because he's definitely the most talented guy that Tank's been in the ring with. He's the most talented guy that Haney would have been in the ring with. He's the most talented guy that Shakur would have been in the ring with at this point. So there's definitely, I would favor him over any of their opponents to this point. So that to me makes it a great fight. I think that people want to downplay Ryan because he does have the social media following. I don't know how that diminishes you as a fighter, but for some reason it does. For some reason, everybody takes it as it diminishes him as a fighter. This guy's very talented. Now, yes, does he have does he fight the way you would teach in a book, right? If you're teaching someone all the fundamentals, no, he doesn't do that. But you know what happens when you're so talented, you can get away with that without doing those things. And he is that talented. So I think even if the way this matchup is, even if Tank were to knock him out in the first round, this is an old West duel. It's 10 cases and first shot wins, and that's the way I see it. So if he knocks out Tank in the first round, I wouldn't come out here and be like, "Oh, Tank's trash." No, I'd be like, that's where that matchup was always going to end. One guy's going to catch one guy with a big shot, and the fight's going to be over. So that's the way I see it. But I just don't know why we're downplaying Ryan so much. I don't get it, and I'll be honest with you, I don't get this upbringing of Barrio, whose biggest win was. Maybe his second biggest win was Ryan Cowboy Carl, at that point. And to this day, that's the second biggest win. So I don't really get to bringing him up that much. I mean, he lost. He was competitive and with Tank, but everyone's competitive with Tank in the early rounds, right? And then Tank could take control of the fight. So I think he gets over credit for that performance. And then he lost to Thurman, right? And he was in tough, I guess. But it's like, what are we doing here? What are we doing? We're giving credit for guys to just in tough a few rounds with guys, takes a meeting. I don't know why he gets so much credit. Hector Garcia, that we bring him up, he beat a guy that was a career journeyman who happened to win the title from a guy that was aging, right, in Gutierrez. And then he beats Colbert, who's unproven at that point, right, and still, not necessarily an elite fighter, not proven to be at the highest level, who he beat Venezuela, who was just coming off a knockout loss. So I don't get these whole things of like Ryan Garcia's nowhere on these guys' levels. Like, hell yeah, he is. He's more talented than all these guys. I would favor him to beat all those guys. Now, I'm not saying he beats them for sure because they have to do it in the ring, but I would for sure favor him to beat all those guys. So I don't get the downplaying of it all. I really don't.
Okay,
Checkmate.
let
Go
me
ahead,
ask the
respond, brother.
Yeah, absolutely. So I hear this adulation for the talent that you perceive Ryan to have. But that talent that you perceive Ryan to have, to me, has never shown. His footwork. He's known as, everybody knows he's a flat foot fighter. Everyone knows he doesn't move his upper body or head well. Everyone knows that he doesn't put bunches and bunches. He's not a combination fighter. He simply pretty much prods along in fightings, and then none of his fightings are exciting. So when he really gets a fighter out, what he does.
Would you say he has hard-hitting power, though? You say he has hard-hitting power? Would you say he has?
Yeah, well, obviously.
Yeah,
obviously
right?
he has good power. You got 19
talent.
KOs.
That's the gift I'm
grown men. You got good power. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. When you say they haven't seen it, but you admit that you see it right there, and I see it right there. So that's the gift I'm talking about. When you have elite speed and elite power, you're a problem for everyone. I'm sorry, you just are. If Isan Cruz is a problem for you, and he doesn't have elite speed, and I don't think he has elite power, then Ryan Garcia is a problem for you because he does have elite speed and elite power. So that's the thing. Or everyone wants to put it in because he's a pretty boy, or he does this mistake that I obviously see. Hell, heck, Isaac Cruz makes 1,000 mistakes that I obviously see. But we look past it because he fits a book of what that type of fighter is. Oh, he's tough, he's gritty, he's gonna keep coming at you. Well, shit, that's been Ryan's whole career. And you know what else Ryan can do though? He can counterpunch off that aggression. He hits you. You probably go to sleep. You probably don't wake up. So I don't understand the whole thing of like because he doesn't fit on what people want him to fit in because of the footwork and all that. Hell, you know, like Esau Cruz footwork. Esau Cruz footwork is terrible. He's terrible footwork. But
he's flat-footed as well. He's a flat-footed fighter,
right.
and I feel like when we use the word flat-footed, like we always use it in a negative way. Like I don't think it's a very negative thing to be flat-footed as long as you punch with good technique. Like I mean, Earl Spence Jr. is one of the best fighters in the world. He's flat-footed as can be, but great fighter. You know, it all just depends.
Flat-footed against Mikey? He threw 1,082 punches against Mikey.
Well,
landed
I
over
mean,
300.
Like,
he was a pure boxer in that fight, right?
No, he was flat-footed in that fight. But again, just because you're flat-footed, that's not a. I'm telling you, for me, you might take a different checkmate, but for me, being flat-footed is not a negative thing to say about a fighter. That's how you generate power. That's how you keep your balance. And you know that's a great thing to do, really. Now, if you're flat-footed in a negative way, that's a different thing. We could talk about certain fighters, but I don't think that saying someone is flat-footed is a bad thing, man.
Okay, let me put it this way. He mentioned he mentioned Isaac Cruz, right? Isaac Cruz to me gets the best leverage off his hooks than anybody in 135 right now, including Tank. The way he gets such a range of motion and gets pure leverage on every punch that he throws, every hook that he throws. The way his foots are set, his foot placement. I mean, if you want to study how to throw hooks, study Isaac Cruz. Okay, this guy got this. To me, he reminds me of a Tua. I made a video of Isaac next to David Tua, and they again. Did I say David Tua? I meant Tua, but they basically throw, they basically throw their hooks the same way. So Isaac Cruz, if you guys sleeping on him, I'm sorry for you, because I think he would put Ryan down. Actually, there's no way I think Ryan can beat him, because Ryan does not fight well on the back foot. The reason why Ryan does not fight well on the back foot, because he's never really had anybody to press him to fight well on the back foot. Ryan usually has the size and height advantage over everybody and length over everybody's fight. So he's fighting smaller guys, and they're bringing nothing to the table. Go ahead, my brother.
Well, you know who doesn't fight good on the back foot too? Isaac Cruz. So I don't know if he doesn't get pushed back in that fight. I mean, he might feel the power and be like, oh, you know what? I'm not coming forward on this guy. So that's what I'm saying. It's just because Isaac Cruz is short and stocky, he fits that style. So we accept it. We accept that that's the way he fights, so he must be good in that style. Ryan is long and has length and comes from an amateur background, right? Has an amateur pedigree, right? So now he must be able to box. He must be able to use his legs, but he doesn't fight that way. But yet we judge him negatively for that. If Esau Cruz gets skill, you like the way he throws his hook? If Esau Cruz matches left hook to Ryan, he's going to lose that battle, because Ryan hits him with a hard left hook. Esau Cruz's power isn't all this greatness, great power. I mean, look at how he knocked out Gamboa. Who did he knock out? Francisco Ramirez, who is not Francisco Ramirez. Who was the last guy he fought? I can't think of his name.
Francisco Vargas, Diego Magdaleno. He fought too, knocked him out.
No, they brought the guy up. They brought the guy up like 2 weight classes to fight him, and he knocked that guy out. But that guy was really small, really undersized. Then he knocked out Gamboa, who was way past it. We all agree on that. Right, and after Gamboa, and then he won decision with Francisco Vargas, who was way past at that point. I don't think he has elite power. I think that he's matched correctly, and that he's matched to make him highlight his game, especially a guy like Magdaleno, who had already been destroyed by Teofimo. So he gets matched up correctly. But I'm just saying, Ryan, at this point of his career, maybe he hasn't fought anyone that we truly think is at that level. That's fine. I agree with that. But at this point, he has done what he's supposed to do. He has ran through the competition of the people that he was supposed to beat. Not, like lackluster performances. Besides the Gowan, who was in there to survive, no lackluster performances, putting people to sleep, putting pressure on them, putting his offense on them. And that's all he's done at this point has been he's been impressive to this point. Like I said, there's the goal performance, but I really think that was the guy that was in there to survive once he felt Ryan's power. That was also Ryan's first fight with Goossen. They were obviously trying to get him to, fix a few things. But yeah, I don't know. I don't like the downplaying of him because I think this is a very good matchup. I think if Tank, like I said, I think if Tank wins, it's an excellent win for him. I think if Ryan wins, I'm not going to be like, oh, Tank the Bum is overrated. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to be like, hey, two good guys fought, and this style right here, someone's always going to get put to sleep. So that's the way I see it.
Great stuff, man. Hey, Ezra, I know you were on a time limit tonight, man, but I appreciate you calling, man. Guys, check out my guy Ezra. I mean, let me remember. Just say the name of your channel, bro. I can't remember the full name.
It's Ezra Boxing. Ezra Boxing. Just look up Ezra Boxing.
Okay, I thought it was something. For some reason, I thought it was something else after Ezra Boxing. But yeah, check it.
Maybe it might be. I don't remember. But you just look up Ezra. It'll come out. So,
check him out. He's here on YouTube, and give him a follow as well on Twitter. He's a great follow on Twitter. You want to add something real quick, Checkmate?
Yeah. I want to ask Ezra because again, he feels like he has really high praise for Ryan. It's not like I'm tearing down Ryan. I'm putting Ryan in proper perspective. I never called Ryan a bum. I never called him a bum. I said Ryan has potential. To me, Ryan potential has not been realized. To me, his flaws are not someone that, and the way he, his in-fight performance is nothing that I could say, oh, this is an elite fighter. Okay. I don't see that in Ryan. You guys see it. Obviously, a lot of people see it. But my eyes, when I look at my eye test, I don't see Ryan being an elite fighter. You say he has an elite, you say he has his gift and power. Okay, there's a lot of people who have gift and power. I think Rolly is a harder puncher than Ryan. Okay, so this is the thing. I don't think Rolly is that talented of a fighter, right? Nothing to show me to say Rolly's a talented fighter, but you know what? He's sort of like that monstrous, powerful beast that was the allure in Tank fighting him. That was people say, oh, Rolly did this, Rolly that. Rolly landed 22 punches the entire fight, and all did Tank do was set the trap, and when that opening came, he executed. That was it. Tank wasn't going to go in there and what you guys want Tank to go in and Mexican style fighter these guys. That's not his style. You know what I mean?
I don't think that's the case.
but
I would say,
Rolly is a big. He was looking massive. Am I correct? He looked like he was doing that juice.
Yeah,
he looked like he was doing that juice during that fight, right? So when I look at that and I can gauge his power compared to Ryan's power, I think he hits harder than Ryan. He's built more compact than Ryan. He's built more sturdier than Ryan. So that gives me understanding. Like I don't think Tank have anything to fight. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ezra.
Yeah, but that don't mean power though. I mean, look at Hitman Hearns. I mean, he's a long, lengthy guy, but he punches like a whip. I mean, a lot of lengthy guys have
Felix Trinidad.
Yeah.
Those guys had skill to go along with it.
I like your take. I like your take. I like your take because it's well thought out. If you came in and you have something you thought this out and came out. I like it. So I'm not. I just disagree with some of it, but no, I'm not knocking your take at all. I think it's a good take. What I'm just saying is that I just think that Ryan's a little underrated. I think we might find that out. But look, you might not in this performance because I said these are two guys that are gonna sling fast, heavy shots at each other, and they're both guys with good timing, and they're both guys that could work off each other's offense, right? They're two guys that could counter with each other. They're two guys that are really fast, so it could end very quick. That's why this fight's so exciting. You can't blink in this fight. I think that some fights are are matched up wise where it's going to end in a knockout. I don't think that means one guy's trash. Now, if Haney and Shakur fight each other, right, and they're two different defensive guys, and they're not the hardest hitting guys. If one of those guys gets knocked out in that fight, that is a big thing, right? That's like, oh man, this guy is far superior to this guy. But when a guy like Tank and Ryan fight each other, and they're two hard hitting, fast, good timing guys, most likely that fight's going to end in a knockout. That's the way that direction is going. It's not the same thing as if Haney and Shakur is a knockout, because that's not you wouldn't see that in their styles. That hasn't been the story to this point. But to this point, with these two guys, this fight is destined to end in a stoppage. So to me, I'm giving Tank credit if he wins. To me, I'm giving Ryan a lot of credit if he wins this fight. And I just think that I don't understand the downplaying of it. And I know you said that Ryan is more of like a Jake Paul type guy. That's just not the case. Like that's just not true. That's an over exaggeration.
I didn't say he moved like him. I said he's marketed like him based on that's where his popularity come from. His popularity definitely does not come from his fighting because they said he has all these fans, but nobody's showing up to his fights. 9,000 people paid to see him fight for Tuna.
I mean.
Well, yeah, 1.1. He had 1.1 million versus Fortuna and 1.3 versus to go. So that was his only Gates over 1 million. Good, that's good, but that's not great. That's not like elite. So when they say he's doing it, so if he had. But let me ask you, let me just ask this question and then I'll pass it to you. So when they say he has these massive following, he has these 8 million followers, well, apparently these 8 million followers have not supported him at the gate. That's all I'm saying when you're counting his massive following. It has not translated into boxing dollars.
No, you're right to a point. I mean, those gates are good. Those are good gates. That means that he's an attraction, right? Now, if everyone takes time to build, right? It doesn't just start off with this guy's going to get 5 million gates right away. You got to build it up. You got to build it up, and that comes also with like the level of the fight, right? That's why this Tank fight is so huge. But we have to acknowledge that this Tank fight is so huge. It's not just because of Tank, and it's a good
both
part
guys.
Of Tank,
yeah.
but it's also a good part. It's also a good part of Ryan because these two guys together is massive star power. Now, before Ryan was fighting Tank, he did have card deals. He did have commercial deals. He doesn't have all that. So there is a following. There is a number that people are following that says, yes, this guy has eyes on him. He's an attraction. So yes,
that's the Jake Paul thing I put into it. The outside of boxing situation.
What I took it as when you said Jake Paul is he's only a celebrity, but he's not that high level of a boxer. That's how I took it when you said.
No, I wasn't talking about the boxing part of it. I was talking about the celebrity part.
Okay.
The social media presence part of it.
Well, yeah, this was a good conversation, guys. I'm glad that I got a chance to get you two together and talk about this. Ezra, amen. As always, pleasure talking to you, man.
One last thing for Ezra. Who do you think is the more talented, skillful fighter, Tank or Ryan?
Skill is Tank. It's Tank.
Talented wise. Who's the more talented, talented fighter? Yes.
So we got to find out. I need to see how great Ryan's power is. Because Ryan might have Deontay Wilder power with that left hook. Okay? If he has
I get you, but right now, before they fight, who do you think, Tank or Ryan?
I'm saying Tank.
Okay.
I think
you say Tank is the more talented fighter. Okay.
But I'm going to say this. Ryan is the most talented fighter, gifted fighter Tank has ever been in the ring with. So when we say Ryan has never seen anything like Tank, you have to remember Tank has never seen anything like Ryan. He has never been in the ring with someone this gifted, and vice versa. So this is what we have to see how he's going to react to this kind of speed. He's never dealt with this kind of speed before. You have to see how he's going to react to this kind of power. And I want to say this thing before I leave, and I will leave because I feel like I'm disrupting the show.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
Two times in Tank's career where he didn't take control of the middle of the ring. There's 2 times. Isaac Cruz, Rolly Romero. The 2 things those guys have in common is they're the hardest hitters that Tank has ever faced. Now, we could question how hard they hit, but that's one thing for sure. They are the hardest hitters Tank has ever faced. He never settled in the middle of the ring in that fight. He constantly stood on the back foot. And even when he caught Rolly, he was against the ropes.
Yeah,
that's a really important thing to take in this fight because when you're dealing with that kind of speed and that kind of power, when I've seen him deal with that kind of power, that's the way he reacted. He backed up. Now, I think Tank can fight on his back foot. I think he's very good at it. I don't think it's his best form of him, though. The best form of him is in the middle of the ring picking the shots.
Mid-range, yeah.
Yes, the mid-range and picking the shots. And he's so talented, gifted, and balanced. A lot of the time we talk about gifts as far as speed, as far as power and all these things, but what we've missed out on is balance. He's so balanced, he can punch you from anywhere. He can hit you anywhere. He can punch you straight to your body, to your head, and you cannot see where it's going to come from. And that's where you're really in trouble. If he gets Ryan in that situation, Ryan will really be in trouble at that point. But if he can't feel comfortable to settle in and sit on it, then he might be on his back foot all night. And I'm interested what that looks like with Ryan coming forward for the fight.
Well said, man. Well, hey, man, again, everybody's looking like they like what you're saying here, man. So again, subscribe to my guy, Ezra. Leave a comment, man, after we hang up down there so everybody can see the name of your channel, bro. They can check you out. And again, give him a follow on Twitter, man. He's a really good follow, man. Ezra, thank you for the call, man. Always great to talk to you.
Yeah, I'll definitely follow. Put your Twitter handle on. I'll follow you on Twitter.
All right,
I
sounds
like
good,
to
man.
engage with
All right.
people, with different or the same opinion. Either way, I like
Yeah,
fresh
yeah.
opinions.
Me and you have a good back and forth. I like it. So, all right, guys. I'll leave you.
All right,
That's
Ezra.
the show.
Good talking, brother. Good talking. Let's give him a hand, man. That was a great phone call and a great in conversation here with Checkmate Boxing. Good conversation is what we're all about here on this channel, whether we agree or disagree. That's what we like to do here, man. Again, phone lines are open. We're going to be here another 20 minutes, guys. If anybody wants to call in, phone number is rolling down at the bottom of the screen. Give us a call. Talk to G Funky and Checkmate Boxing about Ryan versus Tank or Tank versus Ryan, however you see it. Now, I want to ask you this, Checkmate. Since we,
Yes, sir.
we had one call come in. Um, I heard from your conversation with my friend Joe Habib on Ringside Reporter that your opinion on the catch weight and the rehydration clause. Now, I want to ask you this question. In your opinion, do you think that is going to take away from the competitiveness of the fight from a competitive perspective, being that Ryan has to fight at a lower weight that he hasn't fought in the last two fights, and then he has to make the 10 weight limit the next day? Do you think that's going to take away from the competitiveness of the matchup?
Absolutely not. What I know it is taken away from, is taken away from the fact that these two young fighters, undefeated fighters, are fighting each other, and they're going to be matching skill for skill. That's all we had, because that was the talking point that was put out by DAZN. If you notice, every single channel talks about that, and people who I know for certain who are actually getting paid from DAZN to spew that is talking about that. So for me, it's not going to be to take away from Ryan, because this is Ryan's third catch weight at fighting a 135 fighter. Okay, Ryan said, I have a video of it. If you like to play it, you can screen share it. You can put the video up. Okay, you can see Ryan's own words, because my opinions are based on the facts of the release. Ryan said, hey, I can make 31, 35. Sure, easy. I'm a 135 fighter, but why not fight at catchweight? It's smart. So these were things that Ryan's saying. Ryan has said, even at the New York presser, he was saying, hey,
Okay, let me just stop you there. I heard all your points that you made on Joe's show, Checkmate. But I'm just asking, you don't think that it's going to affect Ryan Garcia in this fight at all, even going into the championship rounds, if we get that far?
No, it's not, because Ryan's father said the other day that he has no problem with his son with the rehydration at 140s, coming in at 146, because he doesn't, he generally walks around the ring at 148. He gains about 9 pounds per fight. So his father said it's fine. Ryan said it was fine. At the same presser, Ryan said, "Oh, it's fine. I have no issues with it." And then at the same presser, say,
Okay,
"Oh, he's trying to weight drain me." That's just for
I just
dramatics. Is it?
I just want
You can't.
I just want to say
Go
this.
ahead.
I know what they're saying, right? I've heard Ryan's dad say that. I heard Ryan say that. I like, they said it. That's what they said, right? Of course they're not. I mean, this is going to be one of the biggest fights in boxing this year, right? There's no way they're going to come out here and say prior to the fight, this is going to affect him at some point in the fight. Like, there would be no reason for them to say that. They're just going to screw up the whole promotion, So
But they
I'll ask
already
you
did
again.
that.
I'll ask you again, strictly from the weight limit that he has to make the day of, right? Not what he's saying prior, right? But do you think that it's going to affect a fighter that has to go down 4 pounds from what the two fights he just had, and then to come in the next morning and just be 10 pounds over the limit?
Okay. Do you realize both Ryan and Tank have the same? Uh, they both have the same day weigh in, and after that morning, they can blow up to whatever they want to blow up to. So it's not a 10-pound rehydration inside the ring. It was just a 10-pound rehydration after the initial weigh-in. Why? Because because of the fact that Tank is a 135 fighter. Ryan is a 135 fighter. If Ryan was a 140 fighter, we would be talking different. but he's never fought a 140 fighter. He just been doing these catch weights out of just like trying to do like Canelo did, creating when he created his 155 rate. So as a 135 fighter, Tank said, hey, if you want to fight me outside of my weight class, I'm going to penalize you. You get to fight at 135, no rehydration clauses, no stipulations, or 1 pound more, and you're going to get this as a penalty for fighting outside of the 135 division in which I hold my belt. So Ryan
So I'll
chose.
ask you this then. There's
One
a
second.
question here.
Let me land this, my
Uh,
buddy.
no,
My brother.
I
Let me
know.
land this.
You've already
Ryan
said that.
chose
Ryan
one.
said,
Right.
yes, I agree
But
with you. He did say that.
no, right. But let me land this. Ryan chose 136 with 10-pound rehydration over 135 and no rehydration. So you let me know who's responsible for the clause.
I mean, Tank is the A side, so he's clearly responsible for that. But there's a question here from the chat. It says, Checkmate, if Ryan wasn't such a threat, why did Tank fight Barrios at 140 with no stipulations? I think that's a legit question. How would you answer that?
Yeah, I just said that. Barrios is a 140 fighter. Tank went from 130 to 140. In fact, Tank weighed 129 for the Leo fight. So he went from basically 130 to 140 to fight the 140 champ for his belt. Okay. What Tank was not going to do is have Ryan, a 135 fighter, be lazy, because Canelo has called Ryan lazy plenty of times, called him lazy, don't like to train. He's not going to allow him to dictate anything in a 135 fight. So,
Okay,
you
so
want to catch weight?
I want to ask you this then. I understand the A side power. I get that. The guys who do the A side thing, they control a lot of things. Typically, we see like, whose name is going to be, first on the posters, who's going to walk out last, the gloves sometimes they choose, the size of the ring sometimes they choose. But these kind of things, stipulations like this, especially the rehydration clause. Now, I don't know if you have any experience being around fighters, Checkmate, but I do. And I've seen my friends struggle to make weight. And almost every fighter that I've interviewed on my channel here, I've asked him, what is one of the hardest things during training camp? And it's always making weight. So, in my opinion, it's definitely going to affect Ryan Garcia. And for me, that's why I'm not too excited about the fight. Now, I understand it's going to be a big fight for boxing. It's going to bring some new eyes to the sport. But as far as the competitive nature goes, for me, that's out the window, because I believe Ryan will be fading quickly after 5-6 rounds, in my opinion, due to my experience in seeing fighters making weight. Now, I don't know. Have you been around fighters that have had to make weight before, Checkmate?
I've been around fighters, but not having conversation about them making weight. It's part of the job. Most fighters come down. The 90% of fighters are going to lose
Mhm.
20 or more pounds. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
that's true.
That's just the nature of it. So what happens is when they get to that final 1 pound, it's like a nightmare struggle of their life. And
Yes.
Ryan basically said, hey, I'm going to be comfortable. Hey, remember, like I said, the Fortuna fight was supposed to be at 135. That was the original contract. Fortuna said, I can't make it, so they changed the contract to make it 140. Okay. As a matter of fact, can we do this? Can you honor me with this? Can you play the video I just put you in a private? Can you play the video?
Yeah, just give me a second here. I want to ask you this question here from the chat. Tank himself said he put those stipulations because he wanted to make the fight fair. Interpret that as you wish. So what would you say to that? And I did read that he said he just wants to make it fair. What do
Mhm.
you interpret that from Tank?
The fairness is we're two 135 fighters. Okay. You want extra advantage because you're taller. Because you're taller.
Uh-oh. We'll give him a second to see if it clears up. You there, Checkmate?
What yes, sir. Something happened?
Okay, you cut off for about 10 seconds or so. So go ahead and start over, man.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. Let me see where I was.
The question on
Okay.
Tank saying that he wants to make the fight fair by putting the stipulations on
Okay.
Ryan.
Absolutely. Okay, the thing about it is, wanted to make it fair. They're both of them are 135 fighters. Okay, so Ryan is 5'10", whatever the case may be. He has the size and height advantage, in everything, right? Tank is 5'5". Okay, so the thing about it is, Ryan wanted to try to do what Canelo has done and create his own weight class for the third straight fight. And Tank says, if you're going to take, if I'm a 135 champ, I have a 135 belt. If you're going to fight me outside of my 135 fight weight class, then guess what? You're going to be penalized this. So therefore, this is what's going to make it fair. Do you think that you're going to go ahead and just have this um uh be able to do a catch weight? Tank has never fought at catch weight before. Loma has never fought at catch weight before. Uh, Haney has never fought at catch weight. Shakur has never fought at catch weight. But Ryan's the only one of these guys who, and Teo has never fought at catch weight. But Ryan is one who wants to be this diva. So Tank said, guess what? As a penalty, you want to fight outside of 135? Guess what? It's going to cost you. It's going to cost you a rehydration clause.
So
Okay.
you think he's penalizing Ryan for wanting to
It's a
make it at a
penalty. That's what
catchweight?
it is. It's a penalty
So you
because
don't
if
think it has
Ryan
anything to do? You don't think it has anything to do with trying to make an advantage for himself in this fight?
none. No, because they both got the same stipulations. Everything Ryan is stipulated to do, Tank is stipulated to do. If the fight was at 135, we would not be having this conversation because there would be no stipulations. They're 135 fights. Don't call yourself, I'm a Fort King. I'm part of the Fort Kings of the 135, the hottest division. And all of a sudden, I wanted to fight at 138. I want to fight at 136.
Well,
No.
those four
Okay.
Kings stuff, that's narratives. These guys
I,
don't compare to the guys from the past. I mean, I think we all could agree
Dude,
on that.
I
But
agree 100%. I didn't.
yeah,
I
yeah,
think it was silly. I think it's
yeah. It
silly.
is
I think
silly.
none
It
of,
is.
for the
It
most
is.
part, none of those guys were proven. So to make that's because this was the marketing plan the Zone came up with. They wanted to build this because their whole goal was, again, they wanted to build Ryan. They wanted to build this. And Bob wanted to build Teo. Tank never called himself a Fort King. Devin never called himself a Fort King. These were those promotional outfits that said, hey, we want to build this particular, group. Well, guess what? You got all eyes on you now. Okay. So now when you got all eyes on you, now what you want to do, you don't want to fight the Four Kings of the 135. I want to make it a catch weight. I want to have the advantage. And Tanks would say, no, I'm not going to give you a competitive advantage. Now, let me ask you what you would have did, G Funky, my brother. Would you have fought at 135 with no stipulations, or would you have chosen 136 with a 10-pound rehydration?
I would have fought him at his weight because I fought there
Oh,
before,
thank
and
you, sir.
also,
Thank you, sir.
I mean, I'm saying if Ryan, right, because Tank's already fought at 140, a guy who's pretty much the same dimensions as Ryan.
Ryan
The
doesn't
fight
have
could
a
have happened
belt.
at
Why would he
140
fight? Why? But that doesn't make any
for money.
sense.
For money,
But well, guess what?
obviously.
They could have fought at 135. So then he says,
Yeah, they
then
could have.
Ryan
But
says,
but
I
I'll ask
want
you
the,
this.
I want.
I'll ask you
Yeah,
this,
go ahead.
Checkmate. For me, and I'm speaking for myself, right? And again, I'm not trying to change your mind on the topic. We're just having a discussion. But when I played sports in high school, right, I was very competitive growing up, and my friends, we were all very competitive. When we got news of a game coming up and somebody was out, there was an injury, or someone wasn't going to be there, for me, it was like, well, we're going to beat them now because one of their main guys is out. They're not at full strength. And when I see these kind of clauses being put on a fighter, it weakens him, and it takes away from that competitive nature that I love about sports. And that's, again, I'm just speaking for myself, right? When I beat somebody, especially if it's a fight, when I beat somebody's ass, I want to beat them at 100%. And I'm not going to give them any excuses after the fight. Even though they signed the contract, we've heard it before. We've seen it before. Guys will make excuses after fights. So for me, that's the way I look at sports. That's the way I was when I competed in sports. Some people might think differently. I feel like you think differently than that, but that's the way I look
I
at
played
it, man.
sports all my life. I played sports I played football, baseball, basketball. So I mean, I'm addicted to sports. That's just the nature of it. I mean, I love sports. So listen, I remember in Little League when I didn't get in the game, I threw myself in the mud so I can have a dirty uniform because I'm that competitive.
I remember
So
crying after games when I was a kid, because we lost. Like,
yeah,
it was
so
that.
again, that's just the nature. I'm a competitive guy, as you can tell, but before I even give him any more comment, I want you to play that video, and then that will pretty much surmise everything I really much have to say. So once
All
you
right, we'll
play the
play.
video, it's a short video,
Yeah,
and I
I've
want
seen
the
the
room to
video.
see it. I
Yeah,
want
we'll
everybody to see it, and then
put it on. Hold on, give me a
Yeah.
second. Let me grab it real quick. Okay. Let's see here. It's been a while since I've done this. Okay, here we go. Share my screen. Here we go. Checkmates, guys. He's really good at editing videos, man. He's really, really good. I don't know what kind of software he use, man, but it's pretty good, man. Okay, so you guys can see the screen, right? Okay, there it is. All right, let's go ahead and play it.
10 pounds, so 140.
Started from the beginning.
That's the night of the fight.
Yeah. Say about that. Lie.
And how is that going to work on fight night?
Because once you step on that scale the second
Start
time,
from
you
the
can do
beginning.
what you got to do. Tank have to do the same thing too. Second weigh in. So
There's a second win for both.
both, yes. So it is what it
Can you
is.
start
Have
from the
you ever
beginning?
felt drained up and coming into a fight? Because this fight, you may have that experience since it's a catchweight and there's a rehydration clause.
All right. No, actually, I've never felt that, but I don't think it's going to be a problem because I feel good. I don't like to gain that much weight anyways after the weigh-ins. So I pretty much walk around in the ring at 148, so 146 won't be too much different.
He likes to fight people with no power, so he's trying to weight drain me.
I don't think it's going to be a problem because I feel good. I don't like to gain that much weight anyways.
No, then a rehydration clause. I can't gain more than 10 pounds. There's a lot of stipulations in there that show what kind of character he has.
I pretty much walk around in the ring at 148, so 146 won't be too much different.
Tank have to do the same thing too. Second weigh in.
There's a second win for both.
For both, yes. We campaign at 135. We choose to stay at 135 because that's where our belt is at. You know what I'm saying? He didn't want to do 135. He's doing 136. Fine. You know what I'm saying? Okay, we're going to do 136. You can't do this.
Yeah.
That's why we're sitting here, because they agreed to it.
What you fight at?
35,
And what you walk around?
150, 152.
I don't know if you've seen it. Chris Mannix revealed that the fight's going to be at catchweight, and
Yeah.
much ado about nothing. I felt like, is it just because of you guys both coming off long layoffs and, so you guys don't have to really be pressing your body to make 135?
I mean, yeah, this was agreed to long before the contract was signed. And it really has nothing to do with if I can make 135. I know I can make 135. I'm on track to make 135 right now. I'm 7 pounds away, so it's really nothing. But this is smart, you know what I mean? We're just coming back and we're gonna make 139. What's the difference between 4 pounds? I mean,
really nothing.
Not really nothing. And I don't blow up in fights to act like I'm fatter. Even in my long layoff, you could look at me and say Ryan's in shape. They like to shit on me. But I know I can make 135. It's really nothing. But this is smart.
Oh!
Guys, I told you, man, this guy, man, I don't know what kind of software you use, man, but that is some great editing there, man. And look, I'll respond to what Ryan said is, look, this is promotion, man. This is all promotion for the fight, man. And he did what he had to do to make this fight happen for the fans. And I think Ryan, in my opinion, deserves a lot more credit for this fight to happen, to agree to these stipulations. I spoke to Raul Marquez when I was at the Showbox card 2 weeks ago. I asked him what his thoughts were on this and the stipulations, and he said the exact same thing. He said, "Look, Ryan did what he had to do to make the fight, and we got to give him credit for that, And if we're gonna go off of what fighters say, I mean, we could make hours and hours of footage of these guys saying one thing, and then the next thing you know, they say another, But again, my problem is this, because I've experienced seeing fighters going through hell on earth to make weight. It's gonna affect him, man. But look, I'll say this, because he's been out of the ring for so long, I hope he's been working on his diet, and I know he hired a nutritionist and stuff like that. So I hope that he's losing weight the right way. I've heard that in the to-go fight, he was 4 pounds over the limit the day before the weigh-in for the to-go fight, which was at 140 pounds. So we'll see, man. I hope I'm wrong, because I want to see competitive matchups. That's what I'm all about. Competitive fights, good fights. We'll see, man. I think it's going to be good the first half of the fight when Ryan has his legs, when his reflexes are there. It's going to affect him, man. I just have that feeling. We don't know for sure, but I just have that feeling.
Okay. So you have that feeling. This is my thing about the making weight. Errol Spence has came down from 180 to 147. He used to
And
do
that's
that
not healthy.
all the
Man,
time.
that's not healthy, man.
But listen
Go
where I'm
ahead,
going
go
with
ahead.
this. Errol Spence does that. Charlos do that. They said they get to the point where when they're cutting weight, their bodies actually swell up, their legs swell up, and everything because of the pain that it caused for them to cut in weight. Every fighter has a story about cutting weight. This is the reason why it's a profession. This is the reason why the average person can't do it. This is what they get paid to do. So when you say I can make 136 with a stipulation, a 10-pound stipulation, but I can't make 135 with no stipulation, who are we? Who is that on? Is that on Tank, or is that the guy who chose the stipulation for fighting outside of 135, 1 pound lower on the normal weight class? Now, when you saw the video, Ryan says, I fight at 135. Ryan says, I have no problem with making the 135. Doing catch weight is smart. Ryan says, I'm 7 pounds already away from weight. I can make it easy. Ryan says, it's smart. So when a guy tells you these things, don't just say, well, I'm around fighters and I see this, and I know what it can do for other fighters. No, Ryan is telling you himself that he can make 135. So if
I can
Ryan
tell
can
you
tell you
this,
this,
he's lying,
wait,
bro.
well, you're saying he's lying, but you're saying he's lying.
Yes,
Listen,
he
Ryan,
is.
but guess what?
I
You're
mean,
saying
look,
he's lying,
checkmate,
but
checkmate. You don't believe when I say he's lying, but yet we just watched the whole video that you produced with him,
right,
double
that he's
talking. So,
well, but now you're arguing hypotheticals. You're saying you don't think he can make it, but he's saying he can make it. His father said he has no problem with it. But the only
I
you know what the
understand that,
biggest
man. His dad's
marketing
not gonna his dad is not gonna say my son can't make the weight when he's in the biggest fight of his career, monetary and his resume. He's not gonna say
okay.
he's not gonna say that, bro. So like
You just
that's why
saw
I'm
him on
telling you, these
video.
things that they say, we can't take them as gold. We just can't.
But guess what? I just proved that. You know why? I saw. Remember when I just showed the Slim Shady? Remember he was the Slim Shady. Guess
Yeah,
what?
yeah.
That was at the same New York presser.
He
And
talks
he's
double
talking to
talk, bro. A lot of fighters do that. But look, my man here, Shoeboxing here, says he was 2 feet in front of Ryan today, and he looks gaunt, and he's gonna make weight Friday. Like I'm telling you, man, from my experience,
Devin Haney looked like
I
a
can only speak to that.
Skeletor, right?
Yeah, and
Devin
that's not
Haney,
healthy for him, man.
and guess what? And then he gained 20 pounds after that, right? And he was able to fight, and won a title, right? So my point
Do
is,
you
if you're
think
a
that affected
professional,
his performance, though? Do you feel like
well,
if affected his performance against Kambosos?
I think cutting weight affects every single fighter. This is the reason why Floyd walked around at 150 and fought at 147, because he never had to cut weight. This is why he was so comfortable, because he never had to cut weight. Okay, so there's a secret to the madness.
Well,
Fighting.
he says that, but we would see him every weigh-in downing Gatorade as soon as he got off the scales. So I mean,
Well,
you tell me what that
well,
means, like I know it again because I've been around fighters and I've seen guys make weight. I've been at weigh-ins. I know what it takes. I know what these guys go through, man. And it is not easy. It's gonna be difficult for him, man. And I do feel like Haney coming in looking like Michael Jackson on Thriller affected him that night because he didn't fight that well, in my opinion.
Like
He did a lot of holding. He didn't throw a lot of punches. It affected him, man.
It affects
It affects
every
everyone.
fighter. And
Mhm.
even no matter you come in weight, it's affecting you. If you got to drain and wear that rubber suit and drain those last bit of pounds off you, it's affecting you. When you can't pee no more, when you can't sweat
Mhm.
no more, it's affecting you. But this is what 85% of the fighters go through. So this is normal. This is normal for the sport. This is not out of the ordinary. What is out of ordinary is someone signing a contract and then lying about it. See, this is where I lost respect for Ryan. Because what I said, okay, like I don't think Ryan's that skillful of a fighter. I think he has potential. Just like Tio. I think Tio is naturally gifted, but he has potential, but he is unrealized potential. And now I think he's so delusional he'll never reach his full potential as far as Tio. Tio has massive amount of talent, but he'll never reach it because again, that Loma win went too far to his brain and now it's stunning his growth. Where Ryan is still potential. I've never seen him say, "Oh, this guy, this is elite fighting right here." Okay,
Let me
but
ask you
does he?
this.
Yes,
Let me
sir.
ask you this because we'll move on from this because it's late. I don't want to keep you too long, man. We're getting into almost 10 o'clock p.m. here Eastern time. I mean Pacific time. But I ask you this: this is a hypothetical. If these stipulations were presented to Ryan and he said, "You know what? I'm not signing the contract," and then he came out and said, "These guys wanted me to fight at 136. They wanted me to do a rehydration clause of 10 pounds." What would you be saying about Ryan if he turned down that contract?
You're asking me a hypothetical for a person who actually signed on a dotted line. You've been throwing hypotheticals at me, my brother. I'm
I said
only
it's a
going on the
hypothetical,
facts.
so I
But
didn't
but
I
but
didn't
I
surprise you with it.
mm-mm. but it's a hypothetical that'll never happen. You know why? I don't Tank will I could not foresee. First of all, I would shame Tank if he wanted to fight at the catch weight because he too lazy to make weight. Remember, he lost his belt on the scale. Ryan
Mhm.
actually missed weight before too when he at 130. You know what I mean? So they both missed weight before, but only Tank gets branded as that undisciplined person. Now, since then, since the Gamboa fight, Tank has had no problem making weight. You know what I mean? And he's been coming in sharp. And so the thing about it is Ryan is a professional. Ryan told you on camera that he catch weight is smart. He can make the 135. So I will never give him any leeway with that. And for him to make the negativity, this should have been a beautiful thing. We should be talking about, hey, two undefeated fighters fighting each other, right? But in fact, the problem is 90% of the coverage has been on the catch weight that Ryan created himself. And they put out this negative thing just so they can have a built-in excuse. So after he gets knocked out by Ryan, by Tank, because this fight is not going 6 rounds. I'm betting heavy for 1 through 6 KO for Tank. Tank could get him anywhere between the first and the 6th round, but it's zero possibility this fight goes past 6 rounds, in my estimation, because of the skill level. Fine, you know what I mean? Tank is going to attack him the way he attacked. Again, you're just going to see Tank in attack mode. And the reason why Tank is going to be on attack mode because Ryan has never had anybody attack him. Ryan has never fought in the back foot. We already know that Ryan lacks in the footwork department. And so Ryan is going to be tested. His body is not really that big of a sturdy frame. He's not a big as Raleigh. He's not as robust as Tio. So Tank is going to knock him out. So you guys already have a built-in excuse for the knockout. So go
I'm
ahead,
picking Tank to win, so
T-Funky.
it's not an excuse for me. I'm picking
But
him to
but
win because I feel it's gonna affect him, because I've seen it
but
happen with my own 2 eyes, man. That's just I mean, it's a part of it. But I'll tell you this, and this is a hypothetical.
whoa. You
Even
just
if
said you're picking
no,
Tank to
no, no, no,
win.
no, 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 no. Wait, let me finish. Let me finish.
Whoa,
I'm
okay.
picking Tank to win Saturday, right?
Wow.
Because I feel like
I'm
the
shocked.
rehydration clause is gonna affect Ryan. But here's the hypothetical. Even if there was no stipulations and the fight was at 135 or 140, which is a legit weight class, I would still pick Tank to win. I would still pick him to win.
So you
I
think
just don't
Tank is
like
the
the
better
fact
fighter?
that yes, as of right now, yes, I would say Tank
I'm
is the better
shocked.
fighter.
I,
Well,
did-
I mean,
I
I don't know why. Why would you say that?
because it's all been Ryan. You know what I mean?
No,
Not just you,
because I
but
feel like I
yeah,
feel like people are discrediting Ryan. That's why. And like my problem when people discredit, like I could tell Tank is one of your favorite fighters. Am I right or wrong?
absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay.
Tank is
And that's fine. That's fine. That's perfectly fine. But I feel like sometimes when fans talk about their favorite fighters and their opponents, they get caught up in trash talk and then they say a lot of things and it takes away from the win. Like I feel like when you say things like, this won't be that big of a win for Tank and Ryan's not that skilled and he has horrible footwork, like to me that's diminishing Tank's win if he was to win Saturday. You understand what I'm saying?
I get you about the diminishing part, but let me ask you: did I make any disparaging remarks about Ryan, or did I get?
No,
Did
nothing
you think
personal.
I gave
No. No.
an assessment on his skills?
Yes, yes.
Right.
Those are
I don't
assessments, but I feel like again when you say things like, "Well, he's just not that good," and again, this will
because
be like the sixth best win for Tank. Like I feel like that's going too
okay.
far for me.
Let me ask you. Let me ask you. Now remember, Pedraza. People think Pedraza's best win. I don't think so. But do you think Pedraza has better boxing skills than Ryan?
Yes, I do. He's a switch hitter.
Thank,
He's a
thank
switch
you,
hitter. Yeah, I think
thank you.
he's his
So
better
we're
win. I
listen.
think that's his best win. Yeah.
Okay, so you think it's his best win? Because
Hmm.
I think Isak Cruz will beat Pedraza. I think Barrios will beat Pedraza. I think I even think Leo. I think Leo will beat. You guys take Leo for granted. I don't understand.
I picked
The
Leo to
thing about it,
win. I
Leo
picked
is
Leo to
five
win.
foot seven. Leo is
Yeah.
5'7.5". Leo is the same height as Loma. So if Leo is the same height as Loma, people keep talking about, oh, he brought him up. He fought a little guy. But the same thing, but they don't talk about Shakur Stevens
Look,
coming up
I'll
from
just stop you
126.
there. I'm going to stop you there, right? Because we're running low on
Yeah.
time. But I'm going to stop you there. Look, I gave Tank full credit for that Santa Cruz win because I predicted Santa Cruz to win that fight. I felt like
Oh,
he was going to be able to get Tank into later rounds and possibly outwork him and win a decision because Tank struggled to make weight. He, like you had mentioned earlier, he had lost his belt on the scale before.
he was
He
undisciplined.
struggled to make weight
Absolutely.
against Gamboa. So the fight at 130, I felt like that was going to have an effect on him. And look, I felt like Leo was in that fight, man, up until the knockout.
It was a
But I gave
very
him full credit.
competitive fight.
Yeah, I
And I
gave him full
loved
credit
it.
for that. I
I
gave him
watched
full
that fight
credit
over
for it.
30
Yeah.
times, brother. I watched that fight
Yeah.
yesterday. It's one of my favorite fights to watch because I like to see Tank go through that adversity. And what happened when Tank was going through that adversity? He upped his game. You saw Tank, again, a constant flow of punches, slipping and diving,
Yeah.
taking
And that's
punches when he
why I
needed to
feel
take them.
Yeah, and that's exactly why I feel like Tank is the better fighter of the two currently. And that's why, again, I would favor him without the stipulations. I would still pick him to win without the stipulations. For me, because of my competitive nature, I don't want excuses and things like that after the fight. And that's what we're going to get, man. But Checkmate, again, it's getting late, man. It's 10 o'clock here.
Okay,
Let me give you a hand real quick, all right?
All right.
I know there's a lot of people that disagreed with your takes in the chat, but look, that's okay, man. That's what this channel is all about. Discussions
And-
on boxing. And I appreciate Checkmate for coming here and having the conversation. Let everybody know where they could follow you. You got a YouTube channel, right? That's how we saw the
I
video.
just
So obviously
listen,
you do.
bro. I just started posting the videos on YouTube because I do them all on Twitter, right? Because I do it for fun, whatever. So I said, well, let me start doing it on YouTube. That way, I can go ahead and make it longer, instead of 2 minutes and 20 seconds. So I just started posting them, but it's Checkmate Boxing on YouTube. But like I said, I haven't really been active. Just started posting them, but on Twitter, you can find me at Checkmate Boxing. It's without the I, so it's Checkmate Boxing without the I. And
All right.
like I said, my
If
brother,
you
it was
want, you
great.
could
Listen, go ahead.
I was gonna say if you want, I don't know if you have the YouTube window up or not, but you could throw your Twitter handle down there in the chat so everybody can see it if they want to give you a follow. Go ahead. I'm sorry I interrupted you, but go ahead. What you were gonna say?
Yeah, I was saying, listen, I've been trying to get you to talk. We had this Tank discussion about 2 years. It was you and your buddy, with the Hispanic cousin Panda. You guys were supposed to invite me on that channel. See, I like going into the lion's den. I like being the underdog. I love being in a room where everybody is against me because all I spew is facts. And when you hear and when I show you and when I present it, you can disagree because you don't know me or you think I'm this, I'm that, or whatever the case may be. But everything I said is validated. you know, and even like, you know, so when it's validating, you say, oh, well, I don't believe him. I think he's lying. Okay, well, my validation is based on what he said. So, and based on the
Okay.
evidence that's presented. So, invite me anytime, brother. I have no
Yeah,
problem being the only
we'll do
person in line. Then I fight back.
we'll do the glove gate thing, man, because I feel like that's going to be
Oh
a
yeah,
tough mountain for you to climb on this
not
channel.
really.
All right.
Not and I say I wanted, because I'm so invested into this fight week. I didn't want to take the energy
No, I
off that and get
understand.
to that.
I
So we can do
understand.
that after that anytime, brother. Let me know. And because I've never talked to you about the glove gate thing, but when we do, I'm going to present the evidence. You're going to present it, and you know what I mean. And I'm not listening. You know, the funny thing about me, I don't read the chat, so I'm in the backstage. I don't know what anybody's typing, because if I do that, I'll get distracted, right? And then I'll start
Yeah.
going and I'll start throwing darts at people in the chat, right? So instead of doing that, I talk to you, have a cohesive, respectful dialogue with you, and that's it.
Yes, sir.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
No problem,
So
man. And again, I know you said you're excited for this fight, and look, you have every right to. You said Tank is one of your favorite fighters, and that's great, man.
and that's it.
Yeah,
But
yeah. And it's
I,
look, I do
I know
feel
you got to
like
go.
hold
I
on,
know you got to
let
go. I
me
just okay.
before
I just
we end it, I want to go back to the vote for the in the chat. We're currently, now I'm going to end the poll. We're at 47 votes. 51% say yes, this is going to be the biggest fight of the year. 49% say no. Man, really, really close. Really, really close. But I think there is potential for this fight to be the biggest fight as far as pay-per-view numbers go this year. I do think so. There's potentially some matchups that could happen that could surpass it. We'll see if they get made, you know, but I think
I thought
currently right now, this will be the one.
I thought Tank versus Loma would be bigger than this. I thought Tank, because I wanted Tank versus Loma. I've been wanting that, and I wanted, then I of course Tank versus Devin. So these are the fights I wanted before Ryan. So for
Mhm.
me, stylistically, you know, skill wise, you know, I wanted Tank versus Loma and Tank versus Devin. I still think, you know, well, Devin, Loma's about to take a loss, so it's not going to be as big. But if Tank would have fought Loma, I think the world would have woke up for this one. So it would have been bigger. But this is what you
Yeah,
guys want.
it's gonna be a big fight, man. I feel like there's a lot of casual interest and a lot of athletes from other sports are interested in the fight. And look, that's good for boxing, man. We need
I just want
big
to see the
fights like
tears
this,
on
man.
Twitter. I want to see the tears, or I want to see the tears. Let me tell you, I want to see. Listen, I usually, after big fights, I usually get about 3-4 people block me. You know, I love getting blocked. I don't know about anybody else, but I love getting blocked. And not because I'm being rude, it's because I'm drilling you with facts. So it's going to be a lot of tears of why Tank knocked out Ryan, and I'm here for it, brother. So yeah. But thank you again for
All right,
inviting me,
man.
my brother. I
Of
appreciate it.
course.
And I look forward
Anytime.
to our next
Yes,
debate
and hey,
or
enjoy the
talk
fights this
discussion.
weekend. And yeah, we'll set up the glove gate conversation for maybe next week or the week after. We'll talk behind the scenes, man. But thank you for coming on. I appreciate it, man.
Absolutely, brother. Y'all have a good
All right.
night.
All right, you too, man. We're going to end it here, guys. Thank you all for being here. Don't forget, hit the like button if you haven't done that. Follow Checkmate Boxing if you have a Twitter account. Check him out there. And we'll see you guys on the next one. We're out.